Bunch of hanging out in Florida, I guess, or back. So, might as well get started. Roll call, please.
All right. Ron Sanko,
Here.
Michael Herr will be absent. Thomas McKeon,
Here.
Eric Ossenstein,
Here.
John Woodward,
Here.
Fred Mogul,
Here.
and Scott Miller.
Here. Okay, do we have any public comment?
I thought you said you want. Just regarding the boiler island, still the same concern as last time as to what has been done to figure out what's under that pile. I heard the comment last time that Mr. Boja said that it's a pile of topsoil. If it is a pile of topsoil, I think it's worth a lot of money. Doesn't really sound like it is. So this is the only thing that I think remains a concern with the development of that site. I think we should know, we should take some core samples and really know what's under it before we actually disturb that site, or somebody else disturb it when we're not watching. That's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Hi, Steve Brenner, 1918 Sturbridge Drive. I'm here to just quick give what I think about the school district's efforts at Flannery Field. I applaud what they're doing. My son played baseball there for 8 or 9 years. It needs help, it needs some work, and I applaud the school district for doing that, and I would, assuming that their request for a variance falls within the planning board, the planning commission. Thank you. The planning commission's parameters. I see no reason why to make them do a land development act and have the taxpayers pay basically double. So that's just my point on that. But I do have one concern, and that's regarding the parking at the baseball field specifically, not Flannery Field in general. I would hope, I have seen many times where elderly people have tried to cross Cambridge Avenue with cars going 35 plus miles an hour. It is a scary situation. I would hope, and I understand that the school district is in long-term planning for that. I would just hope that the school district would find a short-term answer for the upcoming spring season, assuming, I don't know if this is all going to go through by then or not, but even for this season, I think that they should find a way to eliminate the buses on game days to give a number of open spots, especially to elderly and young kids going to watch the games. That's the only thing I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? Okay, so I guess we'll get started with the Innovation Way Courthouse LLC review and discuss the revised plans. Who's doing the reviewing?
Well, we issued our review as well as Argentera and TPD. We had a meeting with the applicant, their engineer and their attorney probably 3 or 4 weeks ago. And I guess they're here.
Yep.
To the right, or your left. So I don't know if you want to. There were some items that, the one was the plan was previously submitted as a preliminary. They've asked for it to be, they submitted a waiver request to request it to be a preliminary final one step. Either waive preliminary or make it a combined, whichever the planning commission would want to see. I think they kind of worded that waiver that way. If that's something the planning commission wants to consider today. And then they were looking for conditional approval. There was a list of items. Michelle's sick today. That's what she's saying. There was a list of items that they were to have submitted by today. One was the soils report, which we received today, and we forwarded it to Liberty Environmental, the environmental consultant for the borough for this project. And then there's a couple other items. The letter from the condominium association approving the construction of the proposed apartments, as well as some cross parking and access easement approvals. There was a letter from Norfolk Southern for storm sewer discharges from the site to their right of way, and then execution of the sewer agreement, as well as payment of the sewer capacity reservation fees. This is one of the sites that goes to the Fourth and Olwey pump station, which currently doesn't have any capacity for future development. So all proposed developments that flow to that station were sent agreements on December 23rd to sign and execute to move forward. Because without that, there's no sewer capacity. We can't approve a plan with no sewer. Kind of high level there. I don't know if Craig or Kevin or whoever wants to maybe tell us what they've accomplished since last time.
Sure. Thanks, Jim.
Sure.
You were right on with the waiver request for PC as far as being submitted for preliminary final. As you mentioned, we provided the soil management plan. We wanted to have a condition for the sewer that the agreement be signed within the next couple of weeks here, and then payment made at the time plans would be released for recording, and that the work with Norfolk Southern just be made a condition of the plan approval. I would like just to confirm that the amenities shown on the plan over the past several months has been acceptable, for like the benches and the walkway that we show, and that the rendering that we had submitted was satisfactory to the planning commission. I think with those and the scale waiver, that the plan could be conditionally approved today, and we could continue to move forward.
What about the condo association approval of cross easement for parking? Is that being resolved?
Yeah, we're willing to have that as a condition.
But if that doesn't happen, it could affect the design.
If we can't meet that, then we would have to revise things accordingly.
But I thought the list, by coming up with the list of those 5 items, that was all going to be done before today, because you're asking for final.
Right. We had discussed that a couple of them would be conditional, and then that the others would be provided.
You sent an email the other week saying we'd have all this before today's meeting.
Greg, your response letter did indicate that those items would be submitted by today.
Okay, well, I know that we got the soil management, and I know that we got the TPD acceptance letter for the traffic, and that's what we're looking at.
Can I speak?
Sure.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Regarding the request for the condo, is it a waiver or an easement? I think it was an easement, right?
You need approval from the condominium association to build your project, because you're part of the association, so they have to approve anything in the condo. Then you need an agreement. I believe that was Chris's determination, right? As far as for the use, the condo association will provide a letter to you for the borough saying the use is approved and all that. But for the cross-access parking, the grading, all that needed to be in the form of a recorded easement agreement.
For construction, there was 2 of them we talked about, right? Easement for construction, because we're going to be close to the property line. I thought we all agreed.
I think the construction easement, I was satisfied if you had a letter of consent. Right. But there's a permanent easement needed for the parking that would be outside of the boundaries of your unit.
But there is no parking outside our boundaries. That was the contesting part that I had. You can see to the right, our parking lot accesses a common condo driveway. There's no parking that we're asking for outside of our property line or our condo. We're asking for, and the determination here is, do we even need anything? Because we're in a condo. Well, we're in a condo now that has access aisles, that are shared access aisles for a condominium. So we're driving outside of our parking space into a drive aisle that's in a condominium. So what permission are we asking for? There's a little confusion when I talk to Equus about this, that I'm already in a condo that has access aisle easements, like to the right side of the page. You can see, if I can do I need to point it out to anyone, or I can step up if it'll help. If you don't mind, can I take a minute and just show you so everybody's clear?
I don't think it was actual parking spaces. I think it was the
Right.
access. That
Right.
was the issue.
So this is our property line right here. This is a drive aisle that's common to the condo. So what I think you're asking for is me to get permission for us to drive out of our drive aisle to a common drive aisle, which I don't really feel we need for this condo.
But use that screen. That doesn't work on the TV.
Yeah, so here's our property line right here.
Condo line.
condo line, sir, and this is all condominium that I'm part of that we pay into. So basically what we've done in the design to keep it consistent was we added these islands, matched these islands that are existing, all these three. So we put these on our property, these are on our property. So when we come out of here, this can have a cross aisle access that helps with traffic flow. So that's all, I think what we're talking about today is for me to get permission from my condo to drive on this common driveway, which I don't feel is already part of the condo agreement to just use these common drive aisles to get.
If we have confirmation from the condo association that doesn't make you do that, I'll be satisfied with
Yeah, the items in the review that we discussed at the last meeting were access to the parking space on the east side of the property will allow, will allow driving on the adjacent lot, provide evidence of the easement to allow vehicular access onto the adjacent condo unit 2A knitting 1 LLC. Response letter references the 50-foot access easement to Innovation Way. Comment was in regard to parking lot to the east. Comment remains. The other one we had to deal with condo was, from a practicality standpoint, the construction activity along, against the property line can't be done without encroaching on the property. That we will need to provide approval of any easements from the condo association for the proposed project and construction. My understanding was that, and then also on top of that, you need approval of the condo to build your project. I believe you said, Chris, that a letter would suffice 2 of them, but for the construction, they need an easement to physically construct over the line.
that. Well, is there construction over the line?
So what's your assessment, Chris?
Well, just, I think the two of you were speaking when Jim was summarizing. And when Jim said that he thinks the remaining issue is construction of improvements of a permanent nature for the benefit of your unit that will be outside the boundary of your unit. And what are those improvements, Jim?
It's curbing and pavement along the property line. There's no way to build that and not go over the easement, the condo line into the next parcel.
Well, there is curbing along that drive aisle now.
Where you're building your islands.
Yeah, there's curbing already there. The whole left
Proposing
side of that
islands.
drive aisle has curbing.
You're paying proposing islands, proposing curb there.
Yeah, I understand, but there's a curb there right now, right? And we have drive aisles we're working
Kevin,
into.
we can't let you build on somebody else's property without
Jim,
them saying
I'm
it's
not
okay.
asking you to build on the other property.
But that's all we're asking for. I don't think it's very difficult.
Can we make it a condition that I get permission? Because I really don't know what I'm asking them for. I'm not building on their property.
You're showing an improvement that's right here on the property line that you physically can't build without going over.
That's all I'm saying, Jim, is
Construct it.
the curbing.
We're saying you need, we said you need approval from them, and Chris said he wanted to see it in the form of an easement.
All right, just trying to clear the air. I'm not here to argue with
Well,
you.
no, we talked about this 3.5 weeks ago.
I understand that. I didn't agree then, and I just don't agree now that I can ask for something. I don't know what you're asking me to ask them for. The curb's existing. Any curbs, those islands to be built are gonna be built on my property, on the left side of the property line. I can get the easement. It's not a big deal. I'm in the condo. They allow construction. You have seen what they've built over there. Everybody's on board. I just need to know exactly what you want and make it a condition so I can get it. If I don't get it, we don't build, right? Like, isn't that why we have conditions?
What we need is proof that you have the right to build your project from the condo association, that you have the right of access into the drive aisle, which is on another unit to the right as shown on our screen, and that you have the right to encroach on the adjoining units when you are in your process of construction, because as Jim has indicated, there will be construction that will encroach onto those adjoining lots. If there are no permanent improvements for the benefit of your lot that are on any other lot, I don't see a need for an easement. And also, if you have permission for access to those adjoining units, and that is provided in writing to the borough, I think that would be sufficient. So the confusion I had in the earlier discussion was I thought there would be permanent facilities for the benefit of your lot on an adjoining lot. That doesn't appear to be the case to what I'm seeing today.
So it can all be in the form of a letter.
Right, but we do need those, I think, three things from the association. We need proof that you have the right to build your project, proof that you have the right to access the drive aisle on the adjoining unit, and that you have the right to encroach during construction on those adjoining units.
Kelsey Frankowski, my attorney, couldn't be here tonight, but she was talking with you about this at the meeting more than I was. So she's very confident. She got the condo docs, read through them. She needed to know exactly what would be a condition of us getting our approval here tonight, and she would take care of getting that letter. She can coordinate with you on exactly what you need.
Okay.
Thank
So
you.
you're all right with that? You all right with that?
Yes, yeah, that's great. We'll do anything we can to get the language correct, obviously.
Could I still get the action for the waiver for the preliminary final and the okay for the public amenities and the scaling plan?
Where do we stand on that, Jim?
Yeah, I mean, the scale waiver, we kind of
I'll make a motion.
always give because it's stupid. And the next time we amend the ordinance, we're gonna put that you can use any standard engineering or architectural scale, not that everything has to be 1:50.
I'll second that.
Did we have a written request on that? Correct.
I think we had a written request a long time ago on
Yeah.
that, with the initial submission.
Because I,
Was it
in
last
our
meeting?
meeting packet, we had the one-step review waiver, but I didn't see.
Right, we have the preliminary final ones, and Michelle has those in the packet. But I believe you submitted that with the original
That was
submission.
a long time ago, probably a year.
Okay. so-
Chris, if you're not comfortable amending the motion during this meeting, I can always add that under my manager's report for action at council.
For what? For the waiver request?
No, the waiver request was included, but I meant for, I can't remember, the plan scale, and I thought Greg just mentioned a third waiver.
No, he was asking if the planning commission was satisfied with the sidewalk, walking paths, and the benches and the site amenities. And then-
Understood.
And the rendering.
Yep, thank you.
So the two waivers are the plan scale and the preliminary final. And
Correct.
You're okay with both of those, Jim?
Yes.
So is that motion on both of these?
I can amend it, or we can do something. I'll amend my motion to include the preliminary final nomination.
I'll second it. Yes, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
So then, on these amenities, can we spell that out for the planning commission, make a decision on that?
Greg, you want to go
Sure.
through those? Is this, which plan do you want up for that?
Bring it up.
Is this the sheet one?
Yeah, that shows the sidewalk there on the south side. Those amenities for a walking path. And then there's various trees throughout.
Bottom up.
There's the sidewalk that goes up to the park, as well as starting from the parking lot. And then there's various trees and landscaping, and then we also had benches in this area as well on the plan.
Greg, is there a crossing on that northern leg currently that's off the condo site, just north of there?
Here for traffic?
Yeah, right, is there a crossing stripe?
Right here.
Yeah, we're just north of there. I see the sidewalk on the left side, and the sidewalk on the right you're connecting to. Is there currently a crossing that exists?
I believe.
Eric, just bring up the
Eric, you're talking about
different
here,
plans.
right? And this sidewalk here,
That sidewalk there.
and that ties into this sidewalk.
Right,
Your question is there a crosswalk there?
yeah. for ramps.
I don't
Unless they
think
just-
not a crosswalk.
Not across.
I don't believe there's a crosswalk there.
No, we didn't do a crosswalk at the top. We connected to the existing sidewalk.
And what's the hatching indicator? Is that cross-access easement?
Here?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, that was the required truck parking. For like loading and unloading.
Is that the dumpster location right next to it?
Yes.
Okay.
Thanks, Tim. And then we had submitted the architecturals as well as part of the package. And if any of you are familiar, it's pretty similar to what's at Paper Mill there in Spring Township. A little north of Broadcasting Square.
So if you responded to something, does anybody know what we're gonna look on here about applying? Are you okay, are we okay with what you're doing up there now?
I don't have an objection to it. Jim?
What's that? That's really more of your guys, what you want to see there. The zoning ordinance to allow this in that district says that they have to provide site amenities such as walking trails, benches, bicycle racks, all those other things that would be determined necessary by the planning commission and council. So it's not a black and white engineering thing, it's more of what the borough feels is appropriate for the development and its location. They have linked the North Park Road sidewalk up with the internal sidewalks for this, as well as that, I always call it the Loomis Conference Center sidewalk, and then the Teleflex sidewalk. So it puts that link in place, which was something that I know the planning commission had talked about early on. As far as the number of benches you think they need along the sidewalk, that's not my area.
So does anybody have any comments with regard to these amenities and what they look like on the screen now?
Interested in the thought process behind the benches on the drive aisle without sidewalk. On the south side of the drive aisle, Greg.
On the south side, there's a grass area there that overlooks the
East
train
of there.
tracks.
East of there, yeah.
There are,
Oh, you're talking about right there where there's no road, right against the road there, yeah.
Where there's no sidewalk. You know, like the.
Out here.
We can get rid of those if you
I
want.
just don't know if you wanted to, people to walk along the grass there, sit on a bench, I mean, maybe increase, just a thought, maybe increase, plantings rather than bench.
I'm sorry,
Replace planting, the bench with plantings.
Okay.
Something there.
It's a good idea.
so the two southeastern benches we'd like to see replaced with plantings.
Well, I think there's actually a bench even further east of there as well, towards the intersection.
So you're just looking for more flower beds instead of benches, is what you're thinking, Eric?
Yeah. I don't see any need for benches there. And I think if 61 up here, Target, where they have benches along the sidewalk, they just look ridiculous, they're next to the sidewalk.
If we're gonna make a change, I think an additional bench near the handicap parking where it makes the L.
Over here?
Yeah, right at,
I got it.
yeah, okay.
And then where's that one, Scott? We're doing
See where it comes out of the handicap parking, it makes the L
Huh?
to the right of that,
Right,
where the
yeah.
pine tree is.
So eliminate the three on the south side and add one there,
Yeah,
handicap on the
I think
north.
that would be more practical.
Yep, we can certainly put that in.
Any other questions that you guys have with what's going on up there?
Nope, we're fine with everything.
Any other issues that around the table may have about these amenities coming in? Somebody wanna put this in the form of a motion so we get something concrete?
I recommend approval of the site amenities based on, in addition to the comments that we just had.
Wait a second.
Second.
John? You have any questions? If you guys have any questions of what the expectations are now? please.
No, they're
With
clear.
site amenities are clear.
All right, all in favor, should I say aye?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carried. You're next, Jeff.
I think the last thing we had
Renderings?
was the
Building
architectural
elevation,
plan.
architectural elevations?
Yeah.
All right,
I don't have those, they're not on here.
Yeah. You
I
wanna
believe
pass them
those were
around?
sent out previously, and I'm going back to, I wanna say we got those late fall,
Yeah.
and were sent out to the planning commission at that time.
Greg had one copy, passing it around now.
Yeah, again, if you wanted, if you had seen the work there, Paper Mill Road,
so are there outstanding questions regarding the elevations? Mom?
No, the planning commission has to provide input on them. If you remember, that was something that was added to the zoning ordinance from a prior project that had tall towers that you weren't aware of. I was trying to protect the innocent, sorry.
Not planning a car wash, right?
no,
No big green towers.
no big green towers. Just a nice looking building.
What's the facade made of? What's it gonna be?
Go ahead.
Yeah, it's been a while
It
since.
was mainly brick.
Yeah, most of it is either brick or stone on the lower parts, and then like a hardy type vertical or horizontal siding with multiple different colors inside now. We can also follow up with a colored rendering too, once we get.
We don't. So if the planning commission had any input on the elevations,
What's that, Jim?
if the planning commission had any input or recommendations on the elevations, or if you find them satisfactory, but that's basically the concept of what they're proposing.
Is there anyone here that has an objection to asking them to provide us with some idea of what this is gonna look like when it gets painted, or whether we can do it the outside, just as a look at before they really go to work on it?
You provide them with
Provide a
color
rendering? Yeah, sure. We can distribute that within a week or something. Right.
You can just email PDF over to Michelle.
Yeah, you guys can resend it to everyone.
Anybody have any other questions regarding elevations? Motion to accept the elevations as
Subject to getting a couple of
subject to that.
I'll make that.
Second.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
We finished? Or-
I think we're done unless you.
I didn't have anything else.
So we finished, or we just finished?
Yeah, enough of that.
So, did we approve it? Okay.
What was that, Scott?
I said, did we approve it, but I don't think we did.
Okay, you guys ready to do it?
No, I don't think we're in a position to do that. I just wanted to verify what
Okay,
our
no, I
expectations were,
appreciate
that's
that.
all.
No,
So,
that's what I thought I saw.
okay.
Good.
I'll reach out to Kel's.
She'll be back from the
Association.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, everyone.
Double check.
Thank you.
Sorry, I just didn't want this thing. Assumption.
No,
Yes, we're, Wyoming Field, right?
It'll be this.
So, Wyoming Field, who's gonna take the ball on that?
Well, we should, since we have it on there, shouldn't we table action on the conditional approval?
Yeah, let's do that.
That's why I was surprised they left before we did that.
Well, that's what yeah. I make a motion to table the 15 Innovation Way Boiler House Island LLC plan at this time.
Second.
Any questions?
I have a question. So the things we're looking for is a pretty picture, which we can all get it and say it's fine, or an issue with the condo association, or not an issue with the condo association that I'm having a little trouble figuring out what that has to do with the borough.
They also,
John, what they still need to submit is a letter from Norfolk Southern stating that they have permission to discharge stormwater from the boiler house site
Gotcha.
onto Norfolk Southern property, and a agreement with the borough that they, the developer, Boiler House Island, are responsible for their cost per EDU for their portion of the upgrade to the fourth and only pump station. They've been provided with that agreement. They need to execute it, submit it, as well as provide payment for their specific amount for that upgrade cost, in addition to the condo. And the soil management letter we got at, I wanna say 10:30 this morning, so I don't think it's fair to put McCarthy's office in a position to say they've had adequate time to review that and are okay with what it says.
Okay.
So we're just summarizing why we didn't do something.
right. They're all, they were,
I
those,
appreciate that.
those four of those items were conditions of the conditional use approval. So without them, they don't have zoning in place to do the project. And, you know, the big ones is obviously, they're all big ones that they need to get, but the soil, you know, we need that soil report looked at. And, I was on a plane when it got emailed to me trying to read it on my phone, so I didn't really get into in-depth detail in an 80-page soil report.
So I guess I would ask the question, because we've had such a good time talking about all the things that's been done and how we voted on it. Are there any significant issues of the three outstanding things you mentioned, like the Norfolk Southern stuff, and a couple of the other items that need to be attended to, that would require a lot of heavy lifting, or is it just mechanical and financial and
Well, they haven't gotten anything from Norfolk Southern in 22 months. So,
Sounds about right.
you know, historically, the railroads aren't quick to respond to those kind of requests. And in our meeting 3 weeks ago, they said that Norfolk Southern told them it was fine, they weren't gonna need any, they weren't gonna require them to do anything. We were gonna send them a letter to that effect, that we were gonna have before today's meeting.
So is that something that is unique? Because it seems to me there's been a whole lot of stuff on that property, a whole lot of water going into the river there. Would there be any reason not to have somebody facilitate this? Because we know that the railroads take forever to do everything. The question is that a big deal to stop this project from moving? And can somebody help move it along?
Well, it's up to them and their consultants to move it along with Norfolk Southern Railroad.
How about Equus? Were they involved in this water discharge as well?
They weren't proposing any new construction in this area. It wasn't. I mean, they're adding all the paving, the buildings, so they're basically taking this whole corner of the site and paving it, and it was never paved before.
No, I know, but what I'm saying is, when the guys at Equus were here, there's a lot of construction going on.
Right.
And there's been subsequent, water going somewhere from that property. Did they have to get some kind of an okay from Norfolk Southern?
Everywhere that Eck was constructed, none of that stormwater went to the pipe that goes to Norfolk Southern.
Okay, so it's a single issue.
Just dealing with this one condominium parcel.
Anything else? I guess not. We're sort of just waiting to see what their next move will be now, because the next move is theirs.
I think it was a motion and a second table.
Right,
We didn't vote on
right, okay. before I motion to table the conditional use. Oh,
You just
oh,
have-
yeah.
you just have a question.
All right, all
Let
in
him
favor?
start with
All
questions.
in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. All right, now we play baseball. So who's up the bat here? School district, Jim?
So the school district is doing some work at Flannery Field, which Mike and their consultant can explain. They've submitted a waiver to the borough requesting to not go through the land development process, and they would still comply with the borough sale dome and subdivision land development and stormwater regulations, but not go through the formal land development process. And I believe I saw in the packet, I think they have obtained conservation district approval for the earth moving associated with this work already. So that will,
Yeah, just basically the improvements are for accessibility, trying to get people moving through the site a little easier than what they currently may. Basically, the improvements are at softball as well as the baseball. The larger improvement is at baseball. You can see we're basically encircling the field with a accessible pathway. We're gonna be developing.
why don't you
new
use the
dugouts.
pointer and then to help the planning commission out with your
Thanks, you got.
bottom button,
Sorry?
bottom button.
Bottom button.
There's like 3 in a row, it's the lowest one.
I have it wrong. There we go. So baseball, we're looking at installing a new pathway around the baseball field. Again, linking up with the track walkway. And then over in this area, the existing field house will be replaced pretty much in kind with a much more efficient structure. And then connecting to High Road, the idea student athletes are being dropped off on High Road, then they have access to softball track as well as coming over to baseball. Like I said, the large improvements for baseball would be moving the backstop and the dugouts back into the slope a little bit, recontouring that slope to create an accessible pathway around, and then a viewing area on that top pathway. Also included would be in the area of the parking lot, a ticket booth and a turnstile, trying to limit or not limit, but monitor, better allow the district to monitor the access to the site, as well as be able to charge for specific games on an as needed basis. The walkways will be installed with pervious paving, similar to how the paving we used when we did the running track improvements a number of years ago.
Jim, did any of these improvements impact the requirements for all-street parking spaces?
No.
So
No.
they're basically an overlay of what's there or no structure at all?
Right, the structure's not increasing in size is what the plan represented. We had a couple questions, maybe you just wanna touch on them. Just basically, is this project gonna have any increase in water, sewer, or traffic flow?
Not anticipated, no. It's basically just improving the existing facilities. They will be used as they currently are. Water, sewer, not, because again, the building is just being improved from an efficiency standpoint. Traffic flow and ADA, yeah, thanks Mike, and ADA accessibility. Right now, the bathrooms are inaccessible, just providing an easier access to that. Traffic-wise, again, the facilities will be used as they are, so do not anticipate additional traffic created by these improvements.
So Fred, the reason we have those comments there, they're typically the big three that we're concerned about as part of land development. Are we increasing sewer water flow? Are we increasing traffic? Obviously, we're increasing stormwater, and in our review, we said even if the borough was to grant them the waiver of the stormwater of the land development process, they'd still need to submit fully compliant stormwater management plans.
And this is a less than an acre of disturbance, right?
0.98.
Correct. And it has been submitted to County Conservation District, and we have received a letter of approval.
Okay.
So, having been on that field for 50 years, seeing you guys doing what you're doing, I guess I just have a few questions, like, bathrooms are an issue. We've been buying porta potties for 50 years, sticking them in the parking lot there, which are somewhat of an eyesore. On top of that, there's usually, depending on how well the teams are playing, a lot of people there, and that porta potty is kind of a pain in the neck. Any way of, and I don't know if where the track is, where the softball field is, if that's the closest, facilities, if that is that really the case where it's tough to get there too when you're playing baseball, trying to get around tracks. It's just the thought that if you're doing this, that's kind of an issue that I guess some thought to.
Yeah, at this point, the district is not considering restrooms in that location. We were just incorporated to, provide the pathways, so we do have, accessible paths from baseball to the field house.
So I guess that would be, and it's probably related to the water usage and how you get water to toilets and all that stuff. So if that's the problem, the only way to solve the problem, at least a little bit, is to make it easily accessible from the baseball field around to where the real bathrooms are now. I don't know if that's built into the schematic here, but that would be something that.
Yes, it is. It will be a paved pathway around almost the entire site. So there will be a paved pathway from baseball to the field house.
Would that make any difference whether you're charging admission or anything for people to get from one field to another, that one has to be closed or not?
That I
Once you're inside the fence, we have your ticket,
You're in.
you're good to go.
Yeah.
And that's,
I guess the only other problem that's been well, it has been a problem forever, but it seems like it, the buses that take up all the space there, I think Steve Barr might mention that. Is there any thought to trying to figure out how to solve that problem? Because if you build it and it's even better than the one they built in the movie, when you get to the park, we would now have a better stadium, we have more people there, and where are they gonna park?
so the district, just for this past season with soccer, we were moving the buses off the lower lot. We're gonna continue that this spring for baseball. We're in the process of a feasibility study that is gonna look at a couple locations to potentially move the buses off this site at Flannery completely, buses and vans. So that's in the process. We seem to have pretty good board support, so we're hoping to have that potentially for next season where the buses are completely gone. But that's pending board approval at this point.
We were planning on offering you the mall space, but I thought the fact that they'd be disappearing regularly there, would be a good idea. All right, so do we have any other questions on what's going on here?
I think I have this question every time. Is there a provision in the ordinance for maintenance of permeable pavement?
Yeah, we actually have in the ordinance, there's a porous paving agreement that they would have to enter into with the borough. That would require, I think, inspections every year for the first 5 and then every 2 after that by the Public Works.
Okay.
And there was an agreement in place for when the track improvements were done. So I would assume we would piggyback on that.
Great.
I think we actually changed that section since you
Okay.
did, not because anything you did, because we allowed that in residential and other areas now, borough-wide, as an alternative stormwater management method.
Anybody else have any questions on this subject? I think we're happy to know you're doing this. It's great for the athletes, great for everybody around us. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
So would you like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Okay.
And somehow, I don't know if we're gonna make conditional, but be some type of follow-up for that bus parking. I don't know how to do that. But it is, but it's been a problem.
Any suggestions? Before you cut the ribbon, you gotta make sure you
Yeah.
get the buses out of there.
I don't wanna hold them up a year if the feasibility study.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know where the district is at in that process and what hurdles they need to cross to get to the end.
Well, it seems like everybody knows it's a problem and they're working on it.
Yeah, there's significant board support on our side. We've looked at several different areas around in the borough and outside the borough to move the buses. Been unsuccessful, but we have a couple options within our district that we can potentially move them, so we're working hard on it.
Well, it would seem, if you go through this project quickly at this level, and you're into the construction, you're gonna end up with a whole lot of problems that you didn't want when you did it, because more people will come, and your board will have a lot more to do a lot faster than they may be doing now, because there'll be a lot more people there, have to find some answer somewhere.
Rather than a condition on this motion, perhaps require a letter to be sent to the board encouraging them to resolve the parking of the buses. That would be an alternative.
If it's helpful for the planning commission's consideration, Mike and I have talked on more than one occasion about their plans to find another site for that parking. I mean, Mike, I wanna say we had that first conversation almost a year ago.
Yeah, just about.
So, I mean, I can truthfully say that they are definitively working towards finding a solution.
Sounds like it's just a financial issue. You gotta put the buses somewhere when you drop the kids off, you gotta park them somewhere to
Correct.
pick them up again. So it's a matter of how much it's gonna cost you and what it's gonna be.
And that's also gonna require land development approval likely through the planning commission and council.
If we
Well, not if they
build
put
a
it
new
in
one.
Exeter Township.
Fair.
If anybody knows any lots around Wilson, let us know.
Well, you probably presume that the bus company contract is relevant to them where they have to move these buses as well. I don't know when that contract expires.
We've considered revising our RFP that whoever the successful one is next needs to provide their own parking. So yeah, we're looking at all avenues, but I still think there's about 5, maybe 4 years left on that contract. Don't quote me on that. So we're trying to get something done a little quicker because we hear the complaints as well. It's definitely a real problem.
So,
Steve, didn't we talk about at a borough council meeting about somehow putting that a crosswalk across there?
It went nowhere.
We've put the crosswalk in. If you're talking about
The one
from
that go-
Evans, we moved the crosswalk from Evans going across Old Mill.
No, the one going across to the tennis court.
across Cambridge.
Cambridge.
Oh, okay, I know what you're talking about. We talked about it, but I don't believe we took any action.
Well, it's
Because I
hard-
know they use the tennis court thing when it's not in action for parking. I know the bus drivers will park there or along Lowers Lane. And that can create a problem.
I think apparently the folks from the tennis club weren't all that cracked up about having all those baseball cars parked over there, so that was an issue. Putting the crosswalk there, if you put it in line with where the cars are now, it's in the middle of the road. If you move it down toward the tennis courts, you've got a crosswalk that goes to a sidewalk. If you put it on the other side, you have it on the other end, so you really don't have a crosswalk that goes right into the baseball field. It goes basically right into the bus terminal. It's a big issue, but So when
So
you
I
recommend,
made the motion, I don't think there's anything we can do except make sure that, I mean, hopefully they get it done and let us know.
was your recommendation with regard to a letter from us or from these guys to their bosses or to the bus company? Or
Chris came up with a condition.
where do you think
It's a
the
letter,
should come
be a
from?
letter from the board saying that what steps they're actively taking and when they believe they can accomplish that.
We could do that.
And I'll make a motion with that. But I don't want them to waste their time going through a subdivision plan this weekend.
Yes.
One question on Jim's review letter was about ADA compliance with the walkways. Do we,
Well, he said they're doing them for ADA.
They will be, we haven't submitted the detailed drawings to Jim yet for the stormwater review, they will be indicated on those plans.
okay, so those plans will indicate the compliance with the ADA?
Yes.
Okay, that's
Yep.
fine.
Yep, and we still need to submit that, the detailed stormwater management plans.
Right, okay.
So we're asking for the baseball guys, the folks at the school, to make a recommendation to the school.
Now,
What I'm hearing is that the planning commission will recommend to council a waiver of submission of a full subdivision land development plan conditioned upon full stormwater plan being submitted, which will show ADA compliance on the walkways, and that the planning commission is requesting a letter from the school board indicating the status of their project to attempt to relocate the buses.
If I could speak that slow, Michelle and I came up with new wording for these waivers that protects the borough, because we had a couple of problems with some people we gave waivers to. And the new language that we came up with was to grant a waiver to allow the project to forego the formal process of planning commission and council meetings, but still require compliance with the SALDO and stormwater management and obtain staff approval. That way it takes it out of having to go through all the meetings, applications, county planning, but we don't run into a thing where someone says, well, we're not doing that because you waived SALDO.
Okay, so what I think I hear you saying is that they don't need to submit a plan or record a plan, but they need to comply with the outcomes that are required in terms of the substantive content of the project.
Correct.
That's, okay.
Chris, that part is the language verbatim in the motion on the agenda.
Right, I see that.
And added to that motion would be the letter that goes to the.
Comes from the school board
Comes from the
to
school.
discuss the feasibility study that they're undertaking. When they'll
So
complete.
Melissa, you put that in something. Concise.
Good. Of course you will.
Package. So do we have a motion?
She made it, I made it.
So we have a second.
Second.
Second. Do you have any questions on the subject? Okay, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Anything else you guys want to fill for us?
Not this, but you have anything else?
Not this time.
Thank you much,
All right.
appreciate
You're
it.
welcome. You're
Thank you
welcome.
very much. Anybody else?
Good project.
Couple of you guys.
They're all together.
That's it.
Something else?
I did, I apologize. There was one thing I wanted to clarify, if everybody's okay, if I take a minute while I'm here. I didn't want to wait a whole other month to try to get clarification. But, Jim, I just wanted to clarify on the sewer agreement. I made a comment earlier, I didn't know if that needed to have a motion or if that's acceptable if I signed the agreement to pay for it.
That's Chris and council, not the planning commission.
Okay, so that's outside of this meeting.
Well, if they're not
You
gonna
can
park.
sign the agreement at any time, but you need to deliver the payment as well. And what I heard you say in the meeting is that you don't wanna submit payment until the plan is released for recording? Is that?
That's what I heard.
Right.
That's what Greg said.
The problem with that is we're not gonna process the planning module.
Yeah, there's a chicken and egg issue with this, because you wanna build your project. We're not going to, borough's not going to spend a lot of money designing and permitting a project, much less constructing it, until we have the money to pay for it. So I think, unless, I just don't see any other way than to have the money actually delivered before the borough starts spending money on that pump station upgrade.
Well, I'm kind of in the same mix as you guys, where I'm relying on other members, developers, to contribute as well. And we talked last at our private meeting we had in here about there's going to be a deadline when everybody's either got to be on board or off board, so you guys can move this forward. Is that date defined on when everybody needs to be in, so I can make my decision as well? If we
I'm
can.
sending emails to all of them tomorrow saying they have till February 28th, or they're gonna be considered out of the project, and they're gonna be on the hook to do all the improvements when they wanna build.
So in other words, if there's 100 EDUs with this round, we'd upgrade the pump that accommodates the 100, and then
Correct.
once people come on board, they have to pay whatever it takes to go to the next level.
Yep.
Right. Okay.
Yep.
All right, I think I just wanted to clarify that, because I know that I gotta make a decision if we can afford to pay that fee in the project and it all makes sense. But it's hard for us to make the decision on a project we don't know has been approved yet. So like, that's why when I was here today, it was like, I expected to maybe get some conditional approval with these conditions. When I meet those conditions, I know I can make that decision. If I wait another month to the next planning commission and we're kind of in limbo on this sewer development fee, how do we move forward at that point? Like, because if we're on the 28th and we have another meeting in March 3rd, are you guys gonna be ready to tell me how much I need to pay then? Like, that's where I'm kind of trying to work as well as I can with you guys to understand. I know I need to pay for upgrades to the system based on my 50 EDUs I need to pay for. I understand that. I'm just trying to work with you guys to see, is there a way we can structure this that you can make some decisions on my project to give me a better feeling it's going to be approved if I meet these conditions. That's what I was trying to get to today. So I can evaluate everything, know that if I do these 8 things that you guys want me to do, then I'm approved. Not have these kind of things out there to say, here's a check for $125,000 on the 28th, and I don't even know if my building's gonna get approved. I mean, I don't know if anyone is in the position to do that as a developer. Like, what happens if I pay the fee and my project doesn't get approved for some reason? I can't get one of the conditions done.
Did you put it in escrow?
Yeah, I mean, if you don't move forward with your project due to the failure of the borough to approve your project, then I would expect that your money will be returned to you. And, you know, if the planning commission felt it was in a position to conditionally approve the plan tonight, I think that could have happened, but I'm not recommending that the planning commission give you conditional approval today, because I think the outstanding items are things that the planning commission should still look at.
But don't they get an opportunity to look at them when I provide them later? Doesn't it give me, as a developer, a better understanding that you're not approving it today, you're approving it with these conditions? If I don't hit them, it doesn't mean anything, does it?
It doesn't go back to the planning commission once they conditionally recommend approval.
But it goes to council, right?
If there were, conditional approval, I think, is appropriate when we have external agency approvals that we think are likely to be granted, but just haven't gone through the process yet. But I'm not sure that's the case with the conditions or the items that are outstanding with your project. I think these are things that could affect the outcome on the plan approval. So for that reason, I think it's appropriate for those issues to be brought back to planning commission for further discussion.
Okay, so we come back in March, and I'm signed up, I signed the agreement on the 28th, I need to pay the fee on the 28th. Is that what your letter's gonna say, Jim, to all the developers? They gotta sign it and pay for it on the 28th?
Yes, that's what it's gonna say.
Okay.
So if you have a discussion, other than that, your attorney or you would have to talk to the solicitor.
Yeah, I don't really have, I'm just trying to get the rules straight so I know, because I know some of the other developers that are ready to, that have projects here that aren't gonna pay the money on the 28th. I don't think it's gonna all
Two of
happen.
them are ready, waiting for the agreement, so they're probably gonna sign it immediately. The 2 small ones. What?
They've had the agreement since December 23rd, Jim, when I sent it to them.
I know.
You might want to remind
But
them
it's
of that.
the 2 smaller ones are,
Yeah, I think they're in
right,
too, yeah.
it's the bigger one. No, you're
Right,
but
so,
one
again,
bigger.
let's just, I'm not doing hypotheticals here, I'm wasting everybody's time, but we just gotta wait till the 28th and decide if we want to participate or not. And if we don't participate, the project just sits until we're ready to go on cycle number 2 with the sewer upgrade in 6 months or 8 months.
Well, you know, those items that we talked about 3 or 4 weeks ago, if we had received all of that 2 weeks ago, we would be in a different position here today.
Yeah, I understand that. Again, I'm relying on third-party people as well to get those items from Equus, from Norfolk Southern, who everybody knows doesn't really care to sit down and write a simple letter. I've been talking to them for 8 months about it. They're telling me they're going to give it to me, but they haven't. So that's why, for me, relying on that third party, if you will, it's a neighboring property. I understand what you're saying, but I can't get it if I can't get it. So I guess I just got to keep. That's a whole other subject because it was a requirement in zoning that I don't even think is relevant. But I guess I should have fought that battle at zoning, right? We can't open that up for a conversation.
John had a good idea, put the money in escrow at that point, because it is a short fuse between now and the end of the month. If you're talking about Norfolk Southern, that train took me a while. So if you put that money in escrow, at least you're still working on it. And if it happens in March, you just have your money in a different bank for a couple months.
Yeah, I guess my frustration is with the Norfolk Southern comment on the review letter is that, you know, I don't know if I'll ever get the letter, and I don't think it's appropriate to ask me to get the letter. So I don't know where I need to do with that. Maybe you can help me with that from a legal standpoint. It was a requirement at zoning to get a letter, and I don't know if I'll ever get the letter. So does that kill the project, or can we reconsider what the request was?
So Kevin, do you understand the reason that was a condition of the zoning approval is because the borough doesn't have the right to allow you to authorize stormwater or to discharge stormwater onto another property owner's property without that property owner's permission for you to do so?
I understand that, Michelle, but like the pipe we're tying into right now, Drexel and Teleflex, both tied into the same pipe. What did they do?
Yeah.
Jim, that's right on the drawings. You can call the drawings up, I'll show you. I'm not here to argue, guys. I'm in a situation where I'm being asked to do something that the neighboring development in the whole project wasn't required to do. And I don't think it's fair to ask me to do that.
But it's a condition, you'd have to go amend your conditional use decision, is the only way to get rid of that condition.
Well, can
You go
someone
back to
ask
conditional
why
use
am I
hearing.
have to do it and the other people don't? Why didn't they have to provide this letter? That way the letter would be in the borough.
They didn't connect the pipe physically to the line running.
Call the drawing up,
Southern.
Jim. I can show you how they did it.
We're actually done with your project, they tabled action.
Okay, well, this is why nothing gets done, Jim.
Well, you told us you're gonna have 5 things here today, you said one.
You're giving me impossibilities. You're telling me to get something I can't physically get. The project's dead without a letter from Norfolk Southern that means nothing to nobody. We're discharging less stormwater than is there right now
So
with
you
our
said
detention.
improve and get the sign off. We do
Pardon
it
me?
all the time.
What's that?
Your engineer should be able to get the letter out of them. It's not a big, we do it all the
I
time.
know you say that, but we've been trying for 8 months. And it's not easy to get them to write a letter. Why would they write the letter? They have no skin
You
in the
submitted
game.
your first plan 19 months ago.
I agree, that's my point. That's why I'm frustrated. It was 19 months ago.
Yeah, but 19 months ago, the condition was there.
But conditions have been changing too, Jim.
That condition's been there for 19 months. The one you're complaining about has been in
Jim,
conditional use.
That's
hearing,
why I'm
Gavin.
frustrated. I can't get it. You're killing the project
Well,
for
you said
requiring me
you
to
said
get something.
You just started trying
No,
to
I
get
did
it
not
back
say I'm
yourself.
just trying to get it. We've been trying from the beginning. Why would I not try to get it, Jim? I'm not.
I make a motion